You are one wise ass. Young Turks, Jake Uger, Ben Mankiewicz with you. JR is producing. And the reason you heard that song is because Tommy Chong joins us in the studio. From Cheech and Chong, of course, everybody remembers. And now the author of The E. Chong.
Yep.
Meditations from the Joint.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my book.
I got to tell you, there's a picture of Tommy on the cover of the book from behind bars, and you served how long?
I did 9 months.
You did 9 months. I mean, I'll tell you, prisons, you look good in prison.
Actually, I got very healthy in prison.
Did you really?
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. I exercised. I went to bed early.
Yeah.
I got to get out of my clothes about 4 times a day for the strip searches.
Oh, nice.
So that exercise was
sure.
helpful,
Yeah, that sounds great.
And bending over, they're looking up my butt. So, I had a...
Do they really?
Lot of, yeah.
4 times a day?
Sometimes. Depends if you go visiting,
right.
Then they'll look up your
But it was
butt.
a regular occurrence.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
every time you visit, you had to strip naked, and they look up your butt, and then...
Every time somebody came to see you.
Yeah. And
How
then,
often would they find things up people's butts? I mean,
I have no idea. I don't know the statistics.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to imagine that people are onto it. Hey, they're looking in our butt. Let's not put something up there. Wow.
We're talking about some really stupid criminals.
Yeah, that's
here,
true.
I mean, they're the guys that got caught.
Yeah.
Remember that. So, no, there's some pretty silly guys in there.
Before we go any further, do people call you Chong generally, or they just call you Tom?
Tommy.
Tommy, okay, because, from the Cheech and Chong days, I mean, everybody, because I remember back in the day, I used to do a show called The Young Turk, that it was singular, and it was just me, and everybody would say, nobody would call me Jenk, they'd be like, Turk!
Oh, yeah.
Like, when people see you in the streets, they Chong, how you doing?
No, they usually go, Cheech, hey, Cheech. And I go tell them, no, it's Chong. It's funny, hey, that's Cheech Marin, I just saw you on TV advertising your book. It's Chong, man.
Right, yeah, what's that?
You get a brain.
How can you, if you know Cheech, you have to know Chong. I mean,
I'm the tall, handsome guy.
Before we talk about why you went to prison, and that's an incredible story,
yeah.
Do you keep in touch with Cheech?
We've been talking now and then. He's trying to get me to do a project that he's got in mind, and I was trying to get him to do a project that I had in mind, and so far it's coming down to who's ever going to come up with the real cash.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Oh, shocking! Yeah,
Of course.
So the project he's involved with obviously involves Don Johnson.
Yeah, or Kevin. What's his name? Kevin, the other guy, the golfer.
Oh, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Right.
One of the white guys. I don't know those guys. No, Cheech really, he changed his image, and
yeah, he did,
and he doesn't want to really become that Chicano again,
Still, you would think though for certain projects, obviously there would be some cachet in having Cheech and Chong back together. Yeah.
He did in Cars. Apparently, he played a lowrider. I haven't seen the movie, but he played a lowrider with the character.
Voice,
But he was what do you call it? He wasn't billed at all.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but I'm kind of wondering. I think what Cheech wants to do, he wants to show the world that Chicanos are intelligent human beings.
Is that right? Chicanos are intelligent? I did not know that.
It's a rumor. I heard, I wasn't sure, but I didn't even know what a Chicano was until I met Cheech.
Is that right?
I'm from Canada, man.
That's true. It's true.
I thought Cheech was Iranian.
So you grew up in Vancouver, right?
I grew up in Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, Calgary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Same thing.
See, all right. Well, Jill's not on the show today, but she always talks about building the fence along the Canadian border, and you would have never made it under Jill's administration.
Why build a fence? To keep us out or keep them out?
She's trying to make some point, rather unsuccessfully.
If
we're going to build a fence in Mexico, you have to build a fence
one in
Canada.
Right. I think we should build not a fence. We should build like the wall of China. The big wall on both borders. That would create a lot of work for everybody.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
And then it would make it easier for them to sneak in, because it's much easier to sneak in when you got roads to the wall.
That's right. That's true. That's right. Yeah.
Do you still consider yourself a Canadian?
No, not really. It depends who I'm talking to. If I'm in Canada, I'm a Canadian.
All right, if Mexico, U.S., and Canada get into a war,
okay,
they're fighting all three of each other.
By the way, with Bush in office, there's only like a 40% chance that's going to happen.
40, yeah.
Which army do you sign up for?
Probably Mexico.
Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be easier to get out of it.
I mean, you're a hop and a skip away from Guatemala.
Yeah.
You just sort of
It'd be
cash
like,
it.
I don't feel like fighting today. Who's in charge here? There you go. Oh, here's something for your kids too. Man. See you later, man.
When's the last time you and Cheech got together and smoked?
And smoke?
Yeah.
Years. We haven't smoked for together for
There's no conceivable
20, 30, 25 years.
In case you haven't figured it out, we're talking to Tommy Chong. His book is the E. Chong Meditations from the Joint.
Oh, I take that back. I just remembered. We smoked just before I went to jail.
Oh, all right. So
okay.
So, but there's no way that you could possibly have sort of meet the expectations of smoking that sort of fans have. That that you were stoned all the time. Right. I mean,
Impossible.
It's all just a sort of a
when we shot the movie in Amsterdam, I went there early, to prep the movie.
Which movie?
Still Smoking.
Oh, okay.
Still Smoking. It was like a concert Amsterdam movie, and I was met by the people welcoming committee from the Amsterdam stoner community,
Yeah.
and they took me on a tour of the Amsterdam bars. They took me home a half hour later.
Oh, you weren't.
Carried me home.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Carried me
Lightweight.
home.
Yeah.
I was such a wimp, man.
even the Dutch smoked you under the table, huh?
They woke up the next day. They called me. How are you feeling? Good. They hadn't been to bed. They're still partying.
Wow.
I mean, they're
Right, they're serious.
really hardy people.
And when do hookers get involved there in Amsterdam?
Oh, not me. Have you seen the hookers there?
No.
They're scary, man.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, they sit in the window, and ooh, they show you what. And guys are buying that. It's like, I don't think I want that.
So you at your prime of smoking versus Snoop at his prime of smoking. It's not even a
Snoop.
contest. Snoop wins, right?
I've smoked with Snoop.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, the brothers. They. I smoked with Marley too, Bob Marley.
Oh, did you really? Wow.
Now that was.
How did that
I didn't
come?
have to light up anything, man. I just walk in the room.
How did that happen? Where were
Well,
you?
they were. We were opening for them at the Roxy.
Mm-hmm.
It was their only concert they ever did at the Roxy, and
Here in
there was Marley. It was his old band, with Bunny.
The Wailers
and
or
the whole.
wow.
Yeah, the
Wow.
Wailers, and all those good guys. And we walked in. They wanted to meet us, so we went to the Roxy early, and we walked into the dressing room, and they were all laid out on the dressing room. It looked like an opium den, and the smoke was so thick you couldn't even. You could get it with a knife, and we walk in, and I don't know who it was. It wasn't Marley, but one of the guys goes, "Hey, Chinaman, say something funny, man."
That's ironic because that's about as funny as it gets.
I couldn't beat that one.
Yeah.
No, I've smoked up with some pretty heavy people, man.
All right,
How did you? I'm sorry, Jay. But how did you smoke with Snoop? And what was it?
Snoop, I did a movie with
Yeah.
him called Car Wash.
Oh, okay.
Car Wash, and we kind of.
So you rapped for the day, and you.
We talked, yeah. You had to get by his bodyguard. He had a big old bodyguard there. All those guys have bodyguards.
Of course, I flew on a plane from here, L.A. to Sacramento, and Pauly Shore was on the plane, and Pauly Shore had a bodyguard. Come on.
Who's attacking Pauly Shore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's got
No,
to beef with him.
Pauly would get a lot of action, I don't think it was his bodyguard. It was like, go get that girl.
Oh, it was, yeah. Good for Pauly.
That's true.
Hey, I want that one over there. Yeah. No, the other one. Yeah.
We're talking to Tommy Chong, and did you ever smoke with Pauly Shore or no?
I don't think so.
No?
I worked with him a few times. I knew Pauly watched Cheech and Chong when he was like 7 years old.
Oh, really?
At the
Oh,
Comedy
okay.
Store. He was in the light booth, watching us.
That's awesome. How about Dick Cheney? Ever smoke up with him?
I came close to Dick, but he's more of a drunk than he is a smoker. In fact, he's one of those mean drunks.
Yeah, the kind that shoots you in the face.
Oh, well, yeah. You see him and his lawyer, and, the first half hour, they're really happy with each other.
Yeah.
Second half hour, they're not talking, they're just looking at each other. And the third half hour is, hey, you're a lawyer, aren't you? And then it was like, you think I won't shoot you?
I shoot you.
Bam!
All right, so now this eventually wound up getting you in trouble, this smoking that we're talking about.
They're talking about it.
The talking about it is what got you in more trouble than actually smoking.
What really got me in trouble was me talking about the Bush administration. That's what
You think
really
so?
got me. Oh, I know so.
All right.
I know so because I know people, in those positions, and they know, the law, so, a case like mine or Martha Stewart's or anybody goes right up to the president, right up to, and they sit around, they have the meeting, the morning briefing, they say, what do you want to do with this guy? And so I know that I was talked about at the meetings, and they said, what do you want to do with Chong? It's like, put him in jail.
Well, given George Bush's age, there's no way he wasn't watching your movies because he's such a silly fella.
Well, Bush, Bush and his dad's a big cokehead too, And I'll tell you why I know. You watch, in fact, if you get a chance, go back to the Clinton debate with him and George Sr.
The one where he looked at the watch?
No, yeah, I looked at the watch. One of those. They talk about the war on drugs. And when they said the war on drugs, this is what George Sr. did.
I don't see George Sr. doing a lot of coke, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, of course, man. All those guys, They're in the position.
Okay,
They're in the position, and he's skinny. Look at him.
Well, that's indisputable.
He is
right?
skinny, yeah, there's no question.
All right, I'm going to put that under the unconfirmed category.
Yeah.
But Bush,
Check out the meeting though, and you'll see it. It's right on the tape. It's right on there.
there it is. There it is.
And that's an international language. Do I have coke on my mustache?
Right.
If you're skinny and you touch your nose when somebody mentions the war on drugs, you're
Chances
a coke user.
are.
Right.
Well, Ben, you're already halfway there.
That's
You're
true.
skinny.
I am skinny, yeah.
Okay, watch. War on drugs.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
There it was.
Yeah.
There it was.
You probably haven't. Have you done coke?
Never. I've only
I didn't
smoked
think so.
like 4
I
or
won't
5
ask
times.
you, but go ahead.
Well, because I'm not even skinny. I haven't
Right.
even
No, it's
done
not
it.
that. It's just
No,
that,
I've never done
it's when they do this though after.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
What is that about? Why do they do that? I've never done coke. I don't.
Oh, that's why.
That's where you rub your gums.
It numbs the gums,
Uh-huh.
and it's another high.
It's another little. That's when. I learned. I had a previous girlfriend who taught me about that and bumps.
Yeah, bumps.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is like
bump.
a quick little hit after
You
the
get a
big.
bump.
After the
when
big
a bump,
first hit.
you got a bump.
Right.
Well, actually, speaking of bumps, we have one now. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Tommy Chung's going to tell us why the Bush administration came after him and how they, quote-unquote, busted him and put him in prison and what happened in prison. All that when we return on the Young Turks.
You're listening to the Young Turks. Ben Tank with you. Jill is on vacation. Our guest is Tommy Chong. Very entertaining the last segment. He's going to be with us for the remainder of this segment. If you're out in the Los Angeles area, Tommy will be selling his new book. He'll have a little talk and a book signing at Vroman's Bookstore in Pasadena at 695 East Colorado. That's on Monday the 21st, and then on Friday the 25th, he'll be at Borders in Westwood near you, Jank. That's at 1360 Westwood Boulevard.
Oh,
Again,
come by.
you come by, you
It's
get
right
the book
across the street
signed. Tommy does a little talk. He tells some of these incredibly amusing stories. You buy the book, everybody's happy.
Yeah. Actually, I do have a good time with the talk, because I've been doing stand-up long enough that I can have fun with an audience.
Absolutely. So let's talk about a time that was not so much fun. Why in the world did the government bust you, and on what charges?
Well, the charges was conspiring to ship one bong or an order of bongs, paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia.
Oh, I thought it was armed robbery. It turns out it's over a bong?
Is over drug paraphernalia, which, according to the government, could be an apple, a roach clip, an alligator clip. It
Right.
could be anything. It could be anything, a beer can, anything used that the government witness says it could be used for smoking pot. That's paraphernalia. So if you shipped a beer can, an empty beer can,
And you were,
could get busted.
and your shipment was going to the DEA, so it was a sting operation.
It was a sting operation that they had going for. Well, it's typical Bush administration stuff, They couldn't get our company. They couldn't get these stoners to ship them a bong to Beaver Falls. I mean, it's so lame. It was funny. It'd be funny if it wasn't so sad.
So what'd they do?
Well, then once the crime was committed, then they raided my house February 24th, 2003, and they came in with a SWAT team, and they went from room to room, and they grabbed all my computers, my son's computer, and then they grabbed the cash that I had in my house. That had nothing to do with any kind of bongs or anything,
Right.
just, cash. And then they told me I wasn't under arrest, and then they said that the government would be, get in touch with them, and they'll give me a deal I can't refuse.
All right, now, for those of you watching on theyoungturks.com, look at Tommy Chong and tell me, do you need a SWAT team to arrest this guy? Bust into his house, and what they found all those. First of all, you're obviously dangerous. It's obvious. You're in danger with all those.
Well, I was standing there with my jockey shorts on. And I had a bit of a woody, so maybe that was their danger thing. You know.
And did they find anything in the house?
Other than the woody? No, they didn't. No, they did. They found almost a pound of weed. Because he asked me, is there any drugs, any weed around? I said, well, yeah. And they said, where? If you tell us, it'll go faster.
Right.
I said, well, probably every room in the house. And they said, well, just be more specific.
Because when you want to smoke, you don't want to have to go far.
That's right. Well, you forget. You walk from one room to another
what
room.
was
and
I
you
doing?
forget. Yeah,
exactly.
And so I told him about a bud I had and I was very proud of this bud. Because, when they bust stoners, we don't think we've done anything wrong. So when they ask you have any weed, it's sort of like it's a sharing thing.
Right, you're like, oh, sure, what do you want?
Yeah, so you say, oh, I got this great bud downstairs. And they went down, and then the guy came back and said, I can't find it, sir. And then I got on his butt. And I think that's another reason I went to jail, because I said, what kind of DEA agent are you, man? He said, well, I don't have my dog. And I said, that's another thing. What are you doing in a drug raid without your dogs? And they got all apologetic, and they said, well, we're here for bongs. And then he went down, and he found the bud, and he came back real proud. He said, I found it, sir. And I felt like going, oh, that's a good boy.
That's a good little DEA
Feed him something out of my pocket.
Right, yeah.
Little dog
Give him a
biscuit.
treat. Yeah.
If they wanted to find a weed, they should have brought Snoop Dogg. Let's get real. That's what they should have done.
What?
But this is all joking around and ha he he. But then they actually put you in jail.
Yeah, they did. Well, they faked like if I show remorse, if I, do some community service, and there's a chance, and if I did an anti-drug commercial, that would really help my case.
Right.
And so I did one, but it was so funny. It was such a Cheech and Chong bit that they couldn't show it to the judge. My lawyers wouldn't show it to the judge.
Oh, it wasn't good enough because it was like they were winking.
Well, it's in a documentary called AKA Tommy Chong. The whole bus story and everything is in that, which will be out eventually. But no, they let me believe right up until the night of the sentencing that I knew something was going to go down bad for me because I was sentenced on 9/11. So I kind of got a hunch that they were going to, make an example of me, and they did.
But why did you plead guilty?
Because
aside from the fact that they had you dead to rights, but yeah.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they didn't?
They didn't. Not at all. Not at all. First of all, it wasn't my company.
Right.
I was just fronting the company for my son,
okay.
which isn't illegal. Second of all, the glass bongs that we showed, I had just showed them in Silver Lake at the Ghetto Glass Art Gallery. So they were technically works of art.
All right. So then,
protected.
But that makes the question even more relevant. Why did you plead guilty?
Because they threatened to go after my son and my wife.
How so?
They said that they would indict my son and my wife and put them on trial too.
Wow.
And they
you take a deal.
I take a deal, and only I go.
And how long did they say that would be?
They didn't say. They made me believe.
Oh, and that's when you started thinking, okay, you're going to get it all, but with community service and with making something, you'll be all right.
Well, they told me no one's gone to jail yet.
Right.
In the whole operation, no one went to jail, and so I assumed that I would get house arrest. I kind of knew I wouldn't because my lawyers were, they knew that I was going to go to jail, but they wanted to keep me giving them money, so they had, the lawyers do, we'll appeal, That's another word for keep giving me money,
So
you actually did 9 months in
Where?
Federal prison?
Well, it's the kind of prison that they built in the, I guess, in the 70s. When Nixon and the Watergate people, they all went to jail. Haldeman, Ehrlichman.
So you went to a country club prison.
So they had to build a certain prison for these guys, and so the prison I'm in was patterned. It was in Taft. It's patterned after that Republican prison for the Watergate people. And I think they're anticipating more Republicans because they've expanded it.
Sure, you got Tom DeLay's got to go. Randy Cunningham,
Abramoff, Liddy,
right?
And what's G. Gordon Liddy doing back on the? Oh no, it's not Liddy. It's Libby,
Scooter Libby, right?
Libby, Scooter. Scooter's going. They're all going, and so.
So where was your prison?
Near Bakersfield.
But you still, you still go behind bars every night, right?
No, I'm in camp, and we go behind a chalk line. We're all boundary trained.
It's like the Maginot Line.
Yeah, there's a chalk line around the whole camp, and you're not allowed to step over that line. And you're not allowed to do a lot of things. And if you break any of their laws, they send you to Max, which is right across the field, where it's hardcore.
Right.
This is where you meet Bubba and the boys.
Right. But in the prison you were in, nobody was getting anally raped or anything like that.
Well, all that homo stuff, all that Bubba stuff, it's not true. It doesn't hurt.
No comment on that one. Now, actually,
You got to breathe out.
We're talking to Tommy Chong. He wrote the book, The I Chong or The I Chong, depending on how you pronounce it. I'm all about the I Ching, so I get where you're coming from.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and you studied that in jail, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's
Yes, I
great.
did.
But before we get to that, I want to say real quickly, in the trial, they talked about terrorism somehow? How did that come into play?
They said that the drug business, including the bongs, fund terrorism.
Oh, I see. But
But they didn't cite the example of, say, Afghanistan, where when the Taliban were in, there were no drugs.
Right, and
And
now
the minute America come in, it's a $80 billion business.
an
again.
opium trade, right?
So, but they inferred, as the Republicans, as this administration has a habit of doing, inferring that I was responsible for the terrorist attack.
Yeah.
And therefore, I should go to jail.
Well, when
didn't you take the bong proceeds and send them to Hezbollah?
you did, didn't you? Yeah. You're a dangerous man. It's
Are
very
you with the
apparent.
government?
Initially it was all fun and games having you here, Tommy, but I didn't realize you were a terrorist. Yeah,
No.
that changes.
Please,
everything.
I'll tell you the story, though. I was quickly. While I was in, there were a lot of Syrians, a lot of Arabic people in there. And so I flirted with the idea of learning Arabic. And so I had a teacher, and then I thought, am I stupid?
Yeah, make the government hate you more.
Yeah, can you imagine? Because I'm in jail, and they listen to everything you do in jail, too, by the way.
Right.
And, we're all bugged. I mean, the whole America is all bugged. People are listening in, and the way they do it, they listen for it's
Keywords.
computerized,
Right.
And they listen to keywords. Right. And if you say the word terrorist, like that, probably triggered off.
Right.
Some,
we've talked about it a lot. Yeah, it is distressing.
Now, in the past, I would have said, "Oh, Tommy's high. He's paranoid." That's what happens, But it turns out he's totally right. They are bugging everybody.
Tommy, the book is the I Chong Meditations from the Joint by Tommy Chong. Tommy, it was a real pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining.
Really nice. Yeah. And if you guys ever go to jail, you'd be well treated.
Thank you very much.
Because you've got a pretty mouth.
Young Turks.